Okie dokie. In this lesson, we are going to be setting up our backend from a template with GraphCMS. From graphcms.com, I'm going to go to login. And from here, you get the option to sign up or to log in. There's multiple authentication providers to use. I'm just going to use an email address and password. Now that I'm signed in, I get the option to create a new project or use a starter schema template. I'm going to scroll down and pick out the SpaceX launches template here. Then I can choose to create the project. I'm going to give my project a name and a description. From here, you can choose whether or not to include the template content. I'm going to choose to include this. Then I'm going to need to pick a CDN. Closest CDN to me is Frankfurt in Europe. And I'm going to say create project. Now I'm going to wait for it to be provisioned. Then for the pricing plan, I'm going to select community. And I'm going to invite my teammates later. Okay, so from the project dashboard, we can see that there has already been several steps set up for us, setting up the schema and the content. They were done when we provisioned the template. Making the API accessible, that was also done with the template. And then the last one here is just learn how to fetch content with GraphQL using the interactive playground. That's what we're going to concentrate on in this lesson. So if we do a quick tour of the rest of the project, if we go over to the schema here, we can see that we have the model for launch. We have the model for the launch site, which is just the name and the long name of the site. Then we have a link. This is for all of the related information to the launch. And then also the rocket used. This is a name, the type of the rocket, and an image of the rocket. Over in our content here, this has all been pre-populated. So if we take a look at one of these items here, we can see we have the year, date, name, and the slug. This slug is based off of the name of the mission, and we will be using this for the routes in our SvelteKit project. Down here we have relational items for the rocket, the launch site, and the links relating to the mission. Over in our assets here, we have all the related images to the mission and launch. And then where this play button is here, we get the API playground. If we click in here, we can start querying for launches data and for mission data. Let's first create the launches query. If you're not familiar with GraphQL, you can make queries and you can name them. So we're going to name this one launches. And then we'll have some curly braces here. And then from here, we can start selecting parts of our schema. So we want launches. And you'll see the IntelliSense here has already suggested launches for me. So if I hit tab, that'll auto-complete. More curly braces for each item. I'm going to take the ID, the launch slug, the date, and the name. So if I go over to the play button here and run that query, we can see that the data coming back from the GraphQL endpoint here is structured very much like JSON, and we will be consuming that on the front end. Okay, so with the GraphQL playground here, there's also an explorer, which can help you build up your own queries. Let's do that now for a GetMission query. So I'm going to pop open a new tab here, go over to the explorer. I'm going to call this query GetMission. And this won't be for launches, so we're just going to deselect these here. This will be for a launch. And you'll see that this is asking for a where. So we want to match this to the slug of the mission. So for now, we could just get one of the slugs. Let's just get this one from here. I'm going to copy that. And it's going to say slug, colon, and then put mission in here. Then we're going to need some more curly braces here. And I want to select pretty much everything from this launch data. I'm going to say year, the date, the name, whether the launch was successful or not, and the rocket. And for the rocket, I'm going to want the name, the type of rocket, and the image. I'm going to want the file name. And one of the cool features of GraphCMS is the asset transformation library. So from here, I can pick the URL and then select the transformation I want. This is going to be for an image, and I'm going to want to resize it. Move this over here a bit. I'm going to want the width at 500 pixels, the height at 500, and to fit clip. So there's also a couple more bits of information we're going to need. I'm going to want the launch site. I'll add the name and long name here, and also the associated links. This will be link, and we'll have the article, press kit, video of the launch, the Wikipedia link, and the Flickr images. And again, with the Flickr images, I'm going to be using the asset transformation. So in here, I want the URL transformation to be for the image. I'm going to resize it with a width of 500, height of 500, and fit to be clip. Okay. Now if we click on this Prettify button, let's close this sidebar. One last thing I want to do is alias this launch to mission. You can do that by giving it a name and then adding a colon. So if we run this now, at the moment, this is hard coded in, so it's just going to be for the one mission. There we have our API response. So for this to be dynamic, we're going to need to pass in a variable. So in GraphQL, the way you do that is for the query, take in a variable and you denote that with a $sign. This is going to be slug. And we're going to denote the type with a colon and then say it's a string. And the exclamation mark means it's required. You'll also notice that I'm getting a warning here, say this is unused at the moment. I'm going to be using that in here. So I'm just going to cut this and use $slug. But now if I try to run this, I get an error. But down here, if you pop open this section down here, just click on query variables. I can put in my own query. So in some curly braces here, if I hit Control Tab, it uses IntelliSense to see that there's a slug expected, and I can paste that in and hit the play button again, and we get the data we want. So that will be very useful in an upcoming mission on routes, where we will be querying the GraphCMS GraphQL API here and using it in our project. Okay, that's it for this one. I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.